The United Nations was born from the ashes of a devastating world war. Its mission was noble and clear: to maintain international peace and security for all nations, big and small. For decades, it stood as a symbol of hope, a forum where diplomacy could triumph over conflict and where the world could unite to solve humanity's greatest challenges. The blue helmets of its peacekeepers were meant to represent a global commitment to protecting the vulnerable. This ideal, however, is now being tested like never before, and many are questioning if the institution can still live up to its founding principles in our complex modern world. Today, that promise of global unity feels increasingly distant and hollow. The world looks on as the UN appears paralyzed in the face of major international crises, its core mission seemingly undermined by political gridlock and internal dysfunction. The very structure of the organization, particularly the Security Council with its powerful veto-wielding members, often prevents decisive action when it is needed most. Instead of being a neutral arbiter, the UN is frequently criticized for becoming a stage for geopolitical posturing, where national interests consistently override the collective good, leaving a trail of unresolved conflicts and humanitarian disasters in its wake. This erosion of trust is not just about a few isolated failures. It points to a deeper, more systemic problem. The top-down, bureaucratic model that defines the UN seems ill-suited for the fast-paced challenges of the 21st century. Information now travels at the speed of light, and local communities are more empowered than ever to organize and respond to their own needs. The slow, often cumbersome processes of the UN can feel hopelessly outdated when compared to the agile and targeted solutions emerging from the ground up, driven by technology and grassroots collaboration. The result is a growing perception of the UN as an institution that is more focused on process than on results. Its vast bureaucracy consumes enormous resources, yet its impact on the ground is often difficult to see. From allegations of widespread corruption to a perceived lack of accountability, the organization faces a crisis of legitimacy. Citizens and governments alike are starting to wonder if this grand experiment in global governance has run its course, and whether it is time to look for more effective, modern, and decentralized ways to achieve peace and prosperity. The UN's recent track record is marked by a series of high-profile failures that have severely damaged its reputation. One of the most glaring examples is its role in the 2010 cholera outbreak in Haiti. Investigations, including one by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, traced the source of the deadly epidemic to a UN peacekeeping base that had improperly disposed of human waste into a major river. The outbreak infected nearly 1 million people and killed over 9,000. The UN's initial reluctance to accept responsibility and its slow response exacerbated the crisis, a tragic failure of its duty to protect the very people it was there to help. The COVID-19 pandemic further exposed the weaknesses within the UN system. The World Health Organization, a key UN agency, was widely criticized for its slow initial response and its handling of the investigation into the virus's origins. The WHO's investigative team faced significant obstacles in China, limiting its ability to gather crucial data, which led to widespread frustration and accusations of political influence. This failure to provide clear, timely, and unbiased guidance during a global health emergency undermined public trust and highlighted the challenges a global body faces when a powerful member state is uncooperative. The war in Ukraine has delivered perhaps the most devastating blow to the UN's credibility as a guardian of peace. Russia, a permanent member of the Security Council, launched a full-scale invasion of its neighbor, a flagrant violation of the UN Charter. The Security Council was rendered powerless to act due to Russia's veto. In a surreal moment, in April 2023, the Russian-chaired council allowed an official wanted by the International Criminal Court for the alleged war crime of deporting Ukrainian children to address the body. This incident starkly illustrated the UN's inability to hold its most powerful members accountable. These are not isolated incidents, but part of a troubling pattern. Internal issues of corruption and poor leadership have also plagued the organization for years. Whistleblowers have brought forward disturbing accounts of harassment, abuse, and cover-ups within the UN's ranks, as documented in films like The Whistleblowers, Inside the UN. Such scandals erode the moral authority of the institution, making it difficult for the UN to police the world when it seemingly cannot police itself. This deep-seated dysfunction raises serious questions about whether the organization is capable of reform or if it is fundamentally broken. While the United Nations struggles, a new model for problem solving is emerging, one that is decentralized, agile, and technologically empowered. Modern communication tools, from social media platforms to encrypted messaging apps, have given local communities and non-governmental actors the ability to organize and respond to crises with a speed and precision that large, top-down institutions simply cannot match. This shift represents a fundamental change in how we can address global challenges, moving away from a single, centralized authority toward a network of diverse and collaborative efforts that are closer to the problems they aim to solve. The effective defense of Ukraine is a powerful testament to this new paradigm. While the UN was hamstrung by political divisions, Ukraine's resistance was fueled by a polycentric, bottom-up approach. Ordinary citizens used their local knowledge to provide real-time intelligence to their military, while a global network of volunteers organized humanitarian aid and technological support. Open-source investigators used satellite imagery and social media to document war crimes. This decentralized network of actors proved far more effective at responding to the immediate realities of the conflict than a distant international bureaucracy ever could. This trend is not limited to conflict zones. During the 2014 to 2016 Ebola outbreak in West Africa, a powerful solution emerged not from the UN, but from the local mobile phone industry. Telecommunications companies collaborated to create a free texting service that allowed citizens to report suspected Ebola cases. This data was used to generate a real-time heat map of the outbreak, enabling volunteers and health workers to direct their resources to the areas most in need. The UN's significant involvement came much later, long after this innovative localized system was already saving lives. Even complex global issues like managing space debris are now being handled more effectively outside the traditional UN framework. The Space Data Association, a cooperative organization of commercial and government satellite operators, was formed to share data and prevent collisions in orbit. This multi-stakeholder group is better equipped to include new players like SpaceX and manage the crowded space environment than the slow-moving, state-focused negotiations at the UN's International Telecommunication Union. These examples show that when given the tools, people can create their own effective solutions. The world of 2025 is vastly different from the world of 1945, in which the UN was created. In an era defined by instant communication and global interconnectedness, the idea that a single, monolithic institution can effectively manage all the world's problems seems increasingly obsolete. Instead of relying on a centralized global body, countries are finding more success by forming smaller, more focused coalitions. Groups like the G7 or BRICS allow nations with shared interests in security, trade, or technology to collaborate directly and efficiently, bypassing the bureaucratic hurdles of the UN. These flexible federations or informal alliances offer a more practical path forward. They can be tailored to address specific challenges, from regional security threats to economic partnerships, without the need for a global consensus that is often impossible to achieve. This approach, inspired by thinkers like F.A. Hayek, favors a polycentric order where multiple centers of decision-making coexist. It allows for experimentation and adaptation, as different groups of nations can try different solutions to shared problems, leading to more resilient and effective outcomes than a one-size-fits-all approach. The argument is not for isolationism, but for a smarter, more modern form of international cooperation. By dismantling the oversized and often ineffective structure of the United Nations, we could free up immense financial resources and human talent. These resources could then be redirected to support the very decentralized, bottom-up initiatives that have already proven their worth. Instead of funding a sprawling bureaucracy in New York or Geneva, we could empower local organizations, technological innovators, and regional coalitions that are delivering tangible results on the ground. Ultimately, the goal of maintaining peace and fostering human progress remains as important as ever. However, the tool we have been using to achieve it may no longer be the right one for the job. The evidence suggests that the future of effective global problem solving lies not in strengthening an outdated central authority, but in embracing a more decentralized and voluntary world order. It is time to have a serious conversation about moving beyond the United Nations and building new systems of cooperation that are better suited to the complexities and opportunities of our time.